Hello, it's DJ with the Detailing Business Channel. Hey, I had a question in the comments about just getting started in the detailing business. I can't afford to buy an extractor yet, or I don't have an extractor yet. How can I remove stains without an extractor? Realize that for years when I started, I didn't have an extractor. I couldn't afford one. And I really didn't even know how to use one properly. But, you know, I used whatever I had at the time. And you can actually detail a vehicle nicely and not ever use an extractor. I mean, sometimes you'll run into situations where, boy, it'd be nice to have an extractor right now, but that's not always the case. You know, if you're working on a daily driver and it's not too beat up inside, there's really no point in breaking the extractor out. I mean, you're actually, you know, doing more disservice than good, because, you know, you're getting the carpet soaking wet. You got to wait for it to dry. That's more time. Sometimes after you leave, if it's still a little damp and it dries, the stain will reappear. It's called wicking. It wicks up to the top. And then your customer has to deal with that, and he calls you on the phone and says, hey, the stain's back. When really, you know, sometimes if that happens, I'll tell the customer, you know, it's still a little damp. There's nothing I can do about that other than sit here for another hour if you want me to. But stains can reappear. It's called wicking. It's a natural phenomenon, you know, capillary action type of thing if you want to get scientific. But you know, stains wick up to the top when they start to dry. If it's still left in the fibers, which you'll probably never get the whole thing out, but basically, all the customer has to do when that happens is go over it with a damp cloth, you know, knock the tops off of the stain, and it's gone. You know, I tell my customers that all the time. If it reappears, just go over it with a damp cloth and it'll be gone. And usually they're like, cool, no problem. But, you know, as you are progressing, maybe, you know, I went from no extractor to a Bissell pet bot that I bought at Walmart. You know, same principle. The only difference between a Bissell pet bot and a Mighty extractor is, number one, it's got a bigger head on it, a bigger wand, more surface area to cover. It heats up hotter, the Mighty does. And it holds more water, you know, it holds more solution and, you know, the dirty water. And that's pretty much, and it has a more powerful spray, but that's pretty much about it. I see a lot of detailers still use a Bissell pet bot, but when you're on a schedule and you're trying to run through vehicles, you know, it is nice to have the big Mighty with the bigger head and hotter, and, you know, you just get through vehicles quicker, but you don't have to have it. And you don't have to have a Bissell pet bot either, but it is nice sometimes. I will show you, and there's a couple stains in this vehicle that are kind of unique, but I'll show you how, without an extractor, how I get these stains out. I am going to use my Meguiars steamer. It's just Amazon. Get it on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. I'm going to use the steamer, some all-purpose cleaner, a blue brush, my pocket knife, and some Meguiars fiber rinse. And that's all I'm going to use. I probably don't even need half of that stuff, but, you know, since I have it here, we'll get it done quick. So let me take you around to some of these stains. First one, the customer said this is cheese, and it's crusty and hard. So that's the first stain I'm going to take care of. And then throughout the vehicle, you know, there's some grime from shoes and stuff like that. But all in all, it's not too bad. There's some more. So, more cheese, I guess. But the carpets aren't too bad. Oh, I'm going to determine from here, from this process, where I go. And if it means breaking out the extractor, then that's what I've got to do. Now, a lot of people might say, or a lot of detailers might say, yeah, you gotta break out the extractor on every vehicle, and or you're doing a disservice to the customer. Well, who is the professional detailer? You or the customer? You know, you're there to perform a task, and that task is to clean the vehicle. It doesn't matter how you get there or what your process is. Don't focus on what the customer is, you know, what the customer thinks a detail is. You're the professional detailer, not them. It'd be like going to, I'm referencing steakhouses again, but if you go to a steakhouse and they lay a steak out in front of you, and you bite into it and say, wow, this is the best steak I ever had. I mean, I've never had a better steak, but it doesn't have them grill marks in it. So yeah, it's not, they didn't do it right. Well, who's the professional chef? You or the chef? You know, just because it doesn't have grill marks in it like you think it should, doesn't mean that they didn't do it right. Because obviously it's the best steak you ever had. So think of that. You know, you're the professional, not other people. So you make determinations of how you're going to fix problems. That's what our job is. We're problem solvers. We're not think inside of a box detailers that have to do everything the way that it's been done for years, or the way that other detailers think that it should be done. It's just not the case. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So think outside the box and just get the job done. So here we go. So the first thing on this stain is I don't want to soak it with any kind of chemicals yet. I don't want to go at it with the steamer yet, because what's going to happen is this dry cheese or whatever it is going to reconstitute. It's kind of like it's like a dehydrated food, and if you put anything on it, it's going to reconstitute and start seeping out everywhere, and all that yellow stain is going to seep out into the carpets. So you want to keep it where it's at, get rid of all this hard stuff, and that's where my pocket knife comes in. And I'm going to get the vacuum out here. You could try to go at it with a brush, but I already know that ain't going to work. Okay, now we're down to just kind of the fibers are still, the stain is in the fibers. There's no hard cheese left. Now what I'm going to do is take my steamer and I'm just going to drape a rag over this head. This is the triangle head. Notice I haven't used any chemicals yet. I want to use the heat of the steam and the absorption of the towel to pull that stain out of the carpet. So now the stain is in my towel here. Flip it over to a dry spot and go over it again. Okay, there's that. I mean, look how quick and easy that was. No extractor. I haven't even used any chemicals yet. Look at that, good as new. Gone. Now, I'm going to follow up with some of my fiber rinse. Now this comes ready to use, but and this is Meguiars fiber rinse. I'll put it in the description. But you can dilute it. You know, I think I've got maybe I've probably filled this a third of the way and then filled the rest with water, because you really don't, you know, I really don't need the benefit of the stain removal part of the fiber rinse. I just want to pH balance that stain and leave it soft and supple. So, and just kind of neutralizing the stain so that it doesn't reappear. And then go over it with my towel here. There we go. So that stain's been neutralized. It's still a little damp, which might make it look like it's black or whatever if in the camera, like in this spot maybe. But that's not black, it's just wet. The stain's removed. I've neutralized it and it's good to go. I'll check back on it, make sure it's it doesn't reappear, but I'm pretty sure it'll be gone completely. Now let's go around to this stain. We'll pick this one. Now this one here. I would say, since there's chocolate right there, that's chocolate. Same process basically. I'm gonna go over it with my steamer. There's nothing nothing hard there. that gutter. You can do a lot with the steamer, and just use that triangle wand with a towel over it. You can also use your, you know, the regular tip that comes with it. Which is this one. I got a little brush on it. You can even put your towel over the brush if you're, you know, in hard to reach areas that the triangle won't get, like in here in these creases. But I guess I didn't have a chance to use my all-purpose cleaner, but in that case, what I would do, I always start with, let me find my all-purpose cleaner. I always start with the least aggressive method. If I can get away with not using any chemicals, then that's what I do. But in some cases, you know, you can get the same, same reaction, or what's the word I'm looking for? Result. You can get the same result with all-purpose cleaner. And a brush. Go over it with your towel. Now, there's still a little bit of stain left there, so I would have probably went with this first and then the all-purpose cleaner, but for example, now that got it. Now, since I put all-purpose cleaner in there, which is alkaline, very high alkaline content, that means it's not pH balanced. Use your fiber rinse, which is a pH balancer, and that brings the pH down to normal, because the way alkaline and acids work is, once they dry, they're in there. It's still alkaline or acidic, whichever product you're using. When you get this area wet again, it reactivates that alkalinity and it wants to start cleaning again. If you put your dirty foot on that, your wet dirty foot on there, it's going to draw the dirt into the carpet much quicker than if the spot was not hit with the all-purpose cleaner, or if it's not pH balanced. So you gotta use the fiber rinse to kind of deactivate the cleaner. So just remember that when you're working with all-purpose cleaner, or you're going to be coming back, because the customer's going to say, look good, but stains came back. So I hope that helps answer the question of removing stains without an extractor. Make sure you go down and check the description for the links. Hit the like button, subscribe if you would, and we'll see you next time on the Detailing Business channel.